The arrival. The sky above Earth was calm, a quiet evening that looked no different from any other. Families were eating dinner, children were playing, and cities were glowing with their usual lights. No one knew that tonight would change everything. It began with a strange signal, a pulse that reached Earth from deep space. At first, it was nothing more than static, an unusual noise captured by radio telescopes. Scientists gathered around, confused but curious. The pulse repeated again and again like a knock on a door. In a dark control room in Houston, a young scientist named Claire adjusted her headset. "This isn't natural," she whispered. "It's too perfect, too deliberate." The signal was not from a star, not from a planet, it was artificial. The news spread quickly among the scientific community. Within hours, government leaders were alerted. In Washington and Moscow and Beijing, the same words were repeated in urgent voices. "It's not human. It's alien." Then, just as suddenly as it had started, the world changed. The night sky lit up with a massive flash. High above Earth's orbit, something appeared. It was not a meteor, not a satellite, not a human craft. It was a ship, larger than any building, larger than any mountain humans had ever known. Its surface was dark and metallic, covered in strange, glowing veins of light. It floated silently above the planet, casting its shadow across continents. Panic followed. Television screens filled with breaking news. Unidentified object detected in orbit. Crowds gathered in streets, staring at the sky. Some fell to their knees in prayer, others screamed in fear. Military forces scrambled jets and missiles, not sure if they were preparing for defense or for war. But the alien ship made no hostile move. It did not fire weapons. Instead, it sent the signal again, louder, stronger, directly into every communication system on Earth. Phones rang with static. Radios buzzed. Screens flickered. Then came the translation, clear words in every language spoken on Earth. "We come in peace. We wish to meet humanity." The words spread faster than fire. People froze, listening in shock. Governments called for calm, but no one felt calm. For the first time in history, Earth was not alone. Inside the United Nations, leaders gathered in an emergency session. Faces were pale, eyes wide. Some wanted to attack, others wanted to hide. But a quiet voice spoke above the noise. It was an old ambassador, his voice steady despite the fear in the room. "If they wished to destroy us, we would already be ash," he said. "This is not war. This is an invitation." Reluctantly, humanity agreed to answer. While the world held its breath, a single message was sent back into space. "We hear you. We will meet." The alien ship responded instantly. The lights across its hull shifted, forming patterns that glowed like stars. Then a beam of light shot downward. Not an attack, but a bridge, a corridor of energy reaching from the ship toward Earth. It hovered over the Atlantic Ocean, vast and steady, as if waiting for someone to step inside. On the shores of New York, thousands gathered to watch. Soldiers stood guard, weapons ready but trembling in their hands. The beam was beautiful, yet terrifying, a doorway to the unknown. Among the crowd, a boy tugged at his mother's sleeve. "Are they here to hurt us?" he asked. She held him close, unable to answer. Above them, the alien ship remained silent, watching. For days, humanity debated. Should they send soldiers, scientists, a delegation? Fear and hope fought in every heart. Some believed the aliens were saviors. Others believed they were conquerors. At last, a decision was made. A team would be chosen. Scientists, diplomats, and a small group of soldiers. They would step into the light. They would face the unknown, and they would carry the hopes of all humankind. The night before departure, the chosen stood together at Cape Canaveral, looking at the alien ship glowing high in the sky. None of them spoke. Words were too small for what waited above. Claire, the young scientist who first heard the signal, whispered softly to herself, "This is the moment history begins." The next morning, the team boarded a shuttle prepared to take them into the beam. Cameras from every nation broadcast the event live. The world watched with wide eyes and pounding hearts. As the shuttle rose from the ground and entered the glowing light, the world fell silent. Every street, every home, every city froze in stillness. No one knew what awaited them beyond the beam. Would it be friendship or the end of humanity? The screen faded to black, and so the arrival began. The shuttle shook as it entered the alien beam. The light wrapped around it like liquid glass, pulling it upward with silent force. No engine roared, no fuel burned, yet the craft climbed faster than any rocket humanity had ever built. Inside, the human delegation sat in silence. Every heartbeat felt like thunder. Claire clutched the edge of her seat, her knuckles white. Beside her sat General Harris, a man of iron will, his sharp eyes fixed forward. Behind them, diplomats whispered prayers, their voices trembling. The light swallowed everything. Outside the window, Earth grew smaller, a fragile blue ball hanging in endless black. Above, the alien ship grew larger until it filled the sky. It was like a floating city, its surface alive with shifting lights and strange patterns, as if the ship itself was breathing. Then, without warning, the shuttle passed through an opening. Metal walls surrounded them, glowing faintly. The craft slowed, landing softly on a platform without a single sound. "Docking complete," said the pilot, though he had done nothing. The ship had guided them in. The humans exchanged uneasy glances. The door hissed open. A long corridor stretched before them, wide enough for giants. Its walls shimmered like liquid metal, alive with faint pulses of blue light. The air was warm, breathable, though none could say how. "Stay close," General Harris ordered. His voice was steady, but Claire noticed the tightness in his jaw. They stepped out, footsteps echoing. Each sound seemed too loud, too human, against the silence of the alien ship. Then they saw them. Figures emerged from the shadows ahead. Tall beings, their skin like silver stone, their eyes glowing faintly with inner light. They moved with elegance, not a single wasted motion. Their faces were unreadable, carved with alien beauty and something colder, arrogance. One of them stepped forward. He was taller than the rest, wearing armor that shimmered as if woven from starlight. His voice came not through the air but directly into their minds. Humans. The word echoed inside every skull. Claire gasped, clutching her head, but the voice was clear, deep, powerful, commanding. "You are young, you are fragile, yet you rise to the stars. We are the Council of Vaor. We have come to judge if your kind deserves to remain among the stars." Judge. The word struck like a blade. The diplomats stepped forward, trying to keep their composure. "We came in peace," one said. "We welcome you to Earth." The alien tilted his head as though studying insects. His glowing eyes narrowed. "Peace. You misunderstand. We do not seek peace. We seek proof." The humans froze. Claire's breath caught in her throat. "Proof? Proof of what?" The alien's voice filled the chamber again, colder now. "Long before your kind learned to crawl, we ruled the stars. We have tested countless species. Most failed. Few endured. We have come to test you." General Harris's jaw tightened. "And if we fail?" The alien's eyes glowed brighter. "Then your world will be forgotten. Your kind will be dust." A heavy silence fell. The humans felt the weight of 1 billion lives pressing down on their shoulders. This was no meeting of peace. It was a trial. The aliens gestured, and the walls around them shifted like liquid. Suddenly, the corridor opened into a vast chamber, larger than any stadium on Earth. The floor was etched with glowing patterns, forming circles of light. Above, massive windows revealed the stars, endless and cold. In the center of the chamber, a platform rose from the ground. "Step forward," the alien commanded. "The tests begin now." Claire's heart hammered. She wanted to run, to escape, but her feet carried her forward. The delegation followed, trembling, yet determined. The alien leader raised his hand. The patterns on the floor came alive, glowing brighter. Machines unfolded from the walls, shapes of metal and light, shifting into strange forms. The first test had begun. The humans stood ready, fear burning in their chests, but something stronger, keeping them firm. Determination. For the first time, Claire felt it, not just fear, but defiance. These beings thought humans were weak, fragile, temporary. They were wrong. She whispered under her breath, almost like a promise. "We will not break." Above them, the alien leader watched with cold eyes, and in the silence of the chamber, the galaxy's first true trial of humanity began. The test begins. The glowing floor beneath the humans shifted again, and the entire chamber changed. The walls melted into vast screens, showing different landscapes. One moment, it was a burning desert. The next, a frozen wasteland. Then a storm of lightning and crushing winds. The alien leader raised his hand. His voice echoed inside every mind. The first test, endurance. In an instant, the humans were no longer standing in a chamber. They stood on sand, the air burning hot, heat waves shimmering all around. The sun above was not Earth's sun, but a merciless star blazing 10 times brighter. Claire stumbled, gasping. Sweat poured down her face. The diplomats groaned, their suits sticking to their skin. One of them collapsed to his knees. The ground was so hot it scorched their boots. But General Harris didn't bend. His voice cut through the choking air. "Stand. This is nothing. Humans have survived worse." His words gave them strength. Claire forced herself up, remembering the deserts of Earth where humans had lived for thousands of years. If her ancestors could survive there with no machines, then so could she. Minutes passed like hours. The heat grew unbearable, but no one gave in. Finally, the scene shifted again. The desert vanished. Now they stood in a frozen wasteland. Icy winds howled, cutting like knives. Snow whipped against their faces. One diplomat screamed as frost covered his hands. The cold burned deeper than fire. Claire shivered violently, her teeth chattering. She thought she would collapse, but then she remembered stories of explorers who crossed the Arctic, of climbers who reached Mount Everest. Humanity had faced freezing death before and survived. General Harris wrapped his arm around one of the shivering diplomats, dragging him forward. "Move. Don't stop. If you stop, you die." They pushed on through the storm. The aliens watched silently, their glowing eyes betraying a flicker of surprise. The storm ended. The ice melted away. Now the humans stood on a barren world where gravity was crushing. Every step felt like chains pulling them down. Their knees trembled, lungs screamed for air. One by one they dropped to the ground. Claire fell forward, her face pressed to the cold floor. She couldn't breathe. Her chest felt like it would collapse. But then she remembered something her father used to say. "When you think you've given everything, you've only given half." She forced herself up, inch by inch, until she was standing again. She reached out and pulled another diplomat to his feet. "Don't quit. Not now." Together, the humans endured. Finally, the crushing weight lifted. The chamber returned to its original form. The glowing patterns on the floor dimmed. The alien leader spoke again, his voice quieter now. "Interesting. Few survive the endurance trial, yet you remain." Claire wiped the sweat from her brow. She looked at him with defiance. "We're not done yet." The alien tilted his head as though studying a puzzle he could not solve. His glowing eyes narrowed. Then faced the second test. Intelligence. The walls shimmered. Giant structures appeared, towers of light and shifting patterns. Symbols floated in the air, puzzles beyond human understanding. Machines unfolded, their surfaces glowing with alien codes. One diplomat gasped. We can't solve this. It's too advanced." Claire stepped forward, her eyes scanning the symbols. Her mind raced. The patterns were complex but not impossible. They reminded her of fractals, of equations hidden in nature. "It's not about their logic," she whispered. "It's about ours." She began connecting shapes, drawing lines in the air where the symbols shifted. The machines responded. Lights flickered. The puzzle bent to her will. General Harris watched, impressed. "Use what they don't expect," he said. Claire smiled faintly. That was the secret. Creativity. Aliens might have knowledge, but humans had imagination. Hours seemed to pass. The puzzles grew harder. But each time the aliens thought they had trapped the humans, Claire found a way through, sometimes with logic, sometimes with a leap of wild intuition. At last, the symbols vanished. The chamber fell silent again. The alien leader's glowing eyes flickered with something new. Doubt. You adapt too quickly. You think beyond limits. General Harris stepped forward. That's what makes us human. But the alien wasn't finished. His voice deepened, colder now. The third test will break you. Unity. The floor split apart. The humans were separated, trapped inside glowing barriers. Suddenly, illusions filled the chamber. Scenes of chaos, disaster, fire, and falling cities. Each human saw a different nightmare. Diplomats cried out, believing their homes were burning. Soldiers gritted their teeth, watching phantom battles. Claire saw Earth itself crumbling, oceans boiling, people screaming. A voice whispered, inside each mind, save yourself. Abandon the others. Claire dropped to her knees. The vision was too real, too painful. She wanted to scream. But then she remembered General Harris's words. Alone, we fall. Together, we endure. Her voice broke through the chaos. It's not real. Stay together. Don't believe it. The others hesitated, fighting their own fears. One diplomat nearly gave in, clawing at the ground. General Harris slammed his fist against the barrier. Listen to her. They're testing us. We survive as one or not at all. Slowly, one by one, the illusions shattered. The barriers dissolved. The humans stumbled back together, exhausted, but alive. The chamber returned to silence. The alien leader stared at them, his glowing eyes dimming as if in disbelief. Impossible, he whispered. No species has ever resisted all three. But Claire stepped forward, her voice steady despite her trembling body. We are not like the others. You thought we were fragile, but you don't understand what it means to be human. For the first time, the alien leader did not answer. He only turned away, his silence heavier than words. But in his cold eyes there was something new. Fear. The final trial. The chamber fell silent after the unity test. The humans stood together, battered and pale, but unbroken. Sweat clung to their faces and their breaths came heavy. Yet they were still standing. The alien leader did not move. For a long moment he only stared at them with his glowing eyes. Then slowly he raised his hand. You have endured heat, cold, and crushing weight. You have solved what should be unsolvable. You resisted fear and division. His voice shook the chamber like thunder. But there is one truth left to test. All things die. All civilizations fall. Can humanity face war? The floor vanished beneath their feet. The humans gasped as they were plunged into darkness. When the light returned, they were no longer in the chamber. They stood in a battlefield. Above them, black skies burned with fire. Explosions thundered across the horizon. Vast alien warships filled the air, their weapons tearing the ground apart. Armies of machines marched forward, towering constructs of steel and flame. Claire stumbled back, her heart racing. This isn't real. General Harris's jaw tightened. No, he said, but it doesn't matter. They want to see how we fight. The alien leader's voice boomed across the battlefield. This is the final trial. You will face impossible odds. You cannot win. Yet how you fight will decide your fate. The machines charged. The ground shook beneath their heavy steps. The humans had no weapons, only their wits. Harris scanned the battlefield quickly. Look around. Use what you can. Claire's eyes darted across the rubble. She spotted a shattered alien cannon, still glowing faintly. "Here!" she shouted. She ran forward, her hands trembling as she tried to figure it out. The weapon was alien, built for hands not human, but her mind raced. If it's energy-based, it needs a conduit. If I cross the circuit... The cannon roared to life, firing a blast of white light that tore a hole through the enemy machines. The soldiers cheered, adrenaline rushing through their veins. "Grab everything you can," Harris barked. "We turned their weapons against them." One diplomat found a broken drone and smashed its controls until it obeyed, guiding it into a squad of enemy machines. Another soldier stripped wires from the wreckage and rigged an explosive trap. Claire worked desperately, rewiring alien technology, faster than she had ever imagined possible. For every machine that fell, more came. The humans were outnumbered 100 to 1. But they fought, not with power, but with creativity, with stubborn will. Claire's cannon overheated, sparking, in her hands. She threw it down and grabbed another weapon from the wreckage. Harris fought with nothing but steel and grit, hurling alien blades back at their owners. At one point, a massive warship descended, its guns aimed directly at the humans. Claire's stomach dropped. This was it. The end. But Harris stood firm. His voice rose like a battle cry. "We don't fear death. We fight for each other. That is our strength." His words ignited something inside them. The diplomats, the scientists, people who had never lifted a weapon, joined the fight. Together, they turned scrap into shields, wreckage into traps. They refused to surrender. The alien warship fired. Claire screamed, dragging two of her companions into cover. The blast tore the ground apart, but the humans survived, coughing through smoke and fire. Still alive, still fighting. The machines pressed closer, surrounding them. The humans formed a circle, backs together. Their weapons were failing, their strength nearly gone. Yet none of them ran. Claire looked up at the sky, her chest heaving. For a brief moment, she saw Earth in her mind. The blue oceans, the green fields, the faces of people waiting below. She thought of her mother, her father, all the lives that depended on them. She raised her weapon, even though her arms shook. "We don't quit," she whispered. "Not ever." The machines closed in, and then everything froze. The battlefield dissolved into fragments of light, the smoke and fire fading away like ash on the wind. The humans gasped as they found themselves back in the chamber, standing on the glowing floor. The machines were gone. The warships vanished. Only silence remained. The alien leader stood before them unmoving. His glowing eyes flickered with something they had never shown before: shock. None of the humans spoke. Their chests rose and fell with ragged breaths, their faces streaked with dirt and sweat. But their eyes burned with defiance. The alien leader's voice was quiet this time, almost reverent. "No one has ever fought like you. No species has endured this trial. You do not fight for survival alone. You fight for each other, for hope, for something greater than yourselves." He stepped closer, his towering frame casting shadows across the floor. "Perhaps you are not the fragile race we believed." Claire straightened, her body trembling, but her voice steady. "We told you. We will not break." The aliens' silence stretched like eternity. And then at last he lowered his head, not in arrogance, not in pity, but in respect. The revelation. The chamber was silent. The humans stood battered, their clothes torn, their bodies weak. Yet their eyes burned, bright. Around them, the alien council stood frozen, their glowing eyes fixed on the impossible, creatures of flesh and bone who had survived every trial. The alien leader stepped forward. His towering figure loomed over them, his silver skin shimmering faintly under the chamber's lights. For the first time since their arrival, his voice did not thunder like a storm. It was quiet, almost uncertain. "We have tested countless species across the stars," he said. "Worlds filled with giants, with predators, with intellects beyond measure. All failed. But you, humans, You endure. General Harris met his gaze without flinching. His uniform was scorched, his face streaked with dirt. But his voice was steady. We don't endure because we're the strongest, we endure because we refuse to stop. The alien leader's glowing eyes narrowed, not in anger but in thought. He turned, addressing the other council members. Their voices rose in low whispers, vibrating through the air like distant thunder. Some looked unsettled, others fearful. One of them finally spoke, her voice like crystal shattering. They are dangerous. If they spread among the stars, they will change everything. Claire stepped forward before fear could silence her. Her voice shook, but her words carried weight. You're right. We will change everything. Not because we destroy, but because we survive, because we build, because we imagine what others think impossible. The chamber fell into stunned quiet. The alien leader studied her for a long moment. Then slowly he lowered his head in a gesture the humans had never seen before. Respect. Then hear this, he said. From this day, humanity is not beneath the stars. Humanity will stand among them as equals. The words struck like lightning. Harris's jaw tightened, but Claire's eyes filled with tears she had not expected. For so long, humans had looked up at the stars with wonder, dreaming of what might be out there. Now the stars themselves had bowed in recognition. But the alien was not finished. His voice deepened, carrying a weight that shook every heart. Perhaps more than equals. For no species we have known has ever fought like you. No one has held so fiercely to life, to unity, to hope. Humanity is not fragile. Humanity is fire. The chamber erupted in light. The walls shimmered, opening like vast windows to the galaxy. Stars stretched in every direction, endless and eternal. For the first time, the humans stood not as visitors, not as subjects, but as something greater, participants in the grand story of the cosmos. Claire pressed her hand against the glass-like wall, staring out into the infinite. All this time, she whispered, we thought we were small. General Harris stood beside her, his voice low but unshaken. Maybe small doesn't matter. Maybe it's the fire inside us that makes us great. The alien leader turned back to his council. Let it be written. Humanity has passed the trials. From this day forward, they will be recognized as a force among the stars. Not prey, not children, but a people to be respected and feared. The other aliens shifted uneasily. Some bowed their heads, others turned away, but none argued. The leader raised his hand and the chamber's lights pulsed with finality. Go now, children of Earth. Carry your fire into the galaxy. The stars will remember. The glowing floor lifted the humans, carrying them gently back toward their shuttle. No longer prisoners, no longer candidates for judgment. They were something new. As the shuttle descended into Earth's atmosphere, the blue oceans and green lands came into view. Millions of people below waited, watching the skies, hearts heavy with fear and hope. When the shuttle landed, the world erupted with cheers, tears and disbelief. Humanity had not only survived the first contact, it had triumphed. Claire stepped out, her face lit by sunlight. Reporters rushed forward, cameras flashing, questions exploding like fireworks. But she only spoke a few words, her voice steady and clear. We are not alone, and we are not weak. Humanity is ready. The world roared with pride. That night, as stars glimmered above Earth, people no longer looked at them with fear. They looked with courage, with determination, with a fire that no test could extinguish. Far above, the alien ship drifted silently, its lights fading as it turned back to the stars. The council's whispers echoed in the dark. Beware the humans, for they are the galaxy's supreme force.